All right. Well, how are you today? Tired? Well, I saw in your intake that you've been kind of taking the role of caretaker for your parents for quite some time now, and
Yes.
you're experiencing a bit of some stress related to that role.
Yes. Well, I'm working and trying to juggle having a sitter take care of my parents during the day while I'm at work, and then I stay there at night. It's actually my stepmom. She's 82, and then my dad, he's 81, and he's having a lot of dementia, kind of bouncing around all the time, and kind of doesn't know where he's at. So far, he knows who I am.
That's good.
Which is good. And my stepbrother comes over and helps with his mom some, so I get to spend one night a week at my house. And then he comes over on Sunday mornings so we can both have some church time. But it's just getting to be a lot. And I'm concerned about resources for my parents. How much longer we'll be able to keep them at home.
Right.
I can see my stepmom sort of slipping a little bit too, and so now I'm just wondering about how long I can manage to keep them in the home setting and that be safe and provide for them what they
So what I'm hearing from you is that you're very concerned about your ability to continue balancing your career, but also being a sole caregiver for them, taking care of their physical well-being, making sure that they're comfortable.
I have two siblings.
Yeah.
My sister lives about 4 hours away, and my brother lives about 1,500 miles away.
Yeah.
And so I'm really the only one here. And
you've taken on a huge bulk of the responsibility of your aging parents.
yes. And I'm a healthcare provider, and so it's just sort of kind of worked out where, well, she's the nurse practitioner. She can take care of this. And then I'm a single mom. My girls are grown and off in college and starting careers. And my stepbrother is married. His wife is here, and both of their children live close by. And so they have lives. And I don't. Or at least sometimes that's how it feels.
Yeah.
So I have to try to take care of them and try to take care of myself. And it's really stretching to manage 2 households.
Yeah.
And so sorry, I get a little teary.
It's okay. What I'm hearing is that in a way you feel like this has kind of consumed your life. You know, your social life, your, things that you might enjoy doing as a pastime, those have been kind of put on the back burner.
I have, for several months, I didn't even go to church. But my stepbrother, he said, Renee, you need to have a life.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. So he comes over on Sundays so I can go to church and I can still teach my Sunday school class.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize how much I missed that until I got to go back. But I'm just trying to decide what's going to be best for them and safest for them. And my stepmom, she doesn't want to have to put dad in a nursing home. And I don't want to have to do that either. But she's 82 and has had recent health changes herself and a chronic problem and then now an acute problem with her health. And she's beginning to go down too. And so I'm really trying to figure out what's the best route for them and how do I broach that with her even. My dad made plans a long time ago for long-term care. He has a long-term health insurance, like a long-term facility policy, like nursing home insurance, basically. But my stepmom never did that, and
Yeah.
so she doesn't really have anything in her name, so it's not an issue for her as far as that goes. She just doesn't. Nobody wants to go to
Yeah. So I hear, correct me if I'm wrong, I hear that you have been sacrificing a lot of what's important to you, other than your parents, because I know your parents are really important to you, but you've had to sacrifice going to church, which that sounds like it's very important to you,
Yes.
and sacrificing time spent with maybe friends or the rest of your family, but you want the best for your parents. And so it's kind of this double-edged sword, you know,
So,
and you've been kind of maybe lacking a bit of self-care because of the time spent taking care of your parents.
and I'm trying to figure out how to balance that.
Yeah.
So that until they really are, one of the other of them is ready to say it's time. And Dad, he's just getting to a point where he just doesn't know where in the world he is. He bounces around in time, and he's at home. What's been his home for the last pushing 50 years.
Yeah.
50, almost 6. And so we lived in that house, the house I grew up in, and really the only one I remember living in. But he's just having that dementia, and and the sad thing is sometimes he realizes he's confused about it. So yeah, I have some ambivalent feelings about what's right for them and what's right for me. Trying to be sure that I know when I lay my head down at night that I've done everything I can for my parents.
Right. So you're stuck in a hard place where you want to make sure the best thing is done for them, but you also want to take care of yourself. And sometimes taking care of yourself doesn't happen.
No. And then sometimes when I do it, I feel like I'm ignoring them.
Yeah.
And I think my stepmom's become, and I didn't intend for this to happen, but it just sort of has fallen out in the whole situation. She's become very dependent on me. And she would never say she is, but she really gets frustrated when I'm not the one that's there. Now, she's okay with her son being there, but she just doesn't, she doesn't like anybody else to be there except the sitter. And they do like the sitter that we have.
Yeah.
Erica. It's so kind of like, on the one hand, she'll say, well, we're putting too much on you. But then on the other hand, it's like, you got to be here all the time.
Right.
And I'm beginning to feel like she's having her own brand of decline, and maybe even a kind of dementia herself. So it's difficult trying to figure out what's the right thing to do and what's the right course of action. She could do well in an assisted living setting, probably, where Dad is really past assisted living. He's in that kind of in between where he's not independent enough for assisted living, but he's not dependent enough really for a nursing home setting.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult.
Yeah. Through all of this, I can only imagine that seeing your aging parents is a really difficult thing to see.
It's very difficult. Father has always been a rock. And strong man. Go down and not be. He's he has his moments though when he's really funny. No, he just, you have to laugh and find the humor in the situation. They're both getting where they can't hear.
Yeah.
So that's made some funny situations. So what I'm trying to do is find the humor in what is otherwise a very sad thing,
Yeah.
and enjoy the time that I have with them while they're still at home. BJ's my stepmom's son, and I have talked some about down the road planning when there for a little while it looked like my dad would be the first to go and what was going to happen with BJ. And now, we're seeing a decline in her that's making us think, well, she may be the first to go after all. Kind of, sometimes you wish it could be like, was that Nicholas Sparks' book, story, The Notebook?
Oh, goodness.
Where they just go together one night. And,
how idyllic.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's probably not going to be that way. So you're just going to have to striking that balance between being in the middle and still wanting to be involved in my children's lives as much as I can, and be there for them if they have things that they want to talk about. So it's hard.
You've got a lot of balls in the air.
A lot of balls in there, and I don't and difficult situations, but sometimes you just can't resolve it. I can't resolve it tonight. We kind of mapped out a tentative this scenario for this situation and this scenario for this situation, and now we're just kind of living day to day until something changes with one of them.
So I can only imagine that kind of this waiting game just adds to the stress that you're experiencing with the caregiver fatigue.
I feel like it. Can't really move forward with anything else until this is resolved.
Yeah.
But Dad's heart's in good shape. He got a stent last summer, and all his circulation was good except for that one vessel, and that helps his breathing. And he's in that respect, he's better. So knows how long he can go. My stepmom recently developed congestive heart failure, and she's been trying to take real good care of herself. But she has a chronic problem that could turn on a dime, and so we just don't know. Just live day to day.
Well, what I'm seeing and hearing is, despite the difficult situation that you're in, you are making really good effort to at least find the beauty in it, the positive things in it.
Sometimes that's the only thing. Have faith and trust the Lord, and try to find the humor in the days that BJ didn't understand what Daddy says, and then she answers what she thinks he said, and then it's the wrong thing, and then it can either be funny or you just cry. So I guess if I knew more resources to turn to as far as what's available in our community. One thing that's been very eye-opening for me is people don't talk about these things. And now that we're going through it, people have said, "Oh, I'm so sorry because I went through that with Dad." I didn't know you went through that.
It's sad, but very effective learning experience for you, not just for going through the whole aging parent thing, but it's helped you in a way kind of learn about maybe some of the needs in your community.
Yes. I think that we really do have a need for some caregiver support kinds of things. And, you know, um, I'm not seeing anywhere that that's available in our in our local areas. We'll go day to day though, and try to do what's the best for everybody. And right now, I just don't know what that is. And I'm grateful that Jay's son has started doing some things to help out a little bit. Be here on Sunday, give us both time to get at least part of our worship on, and then he comes on Wednesday night, so I have at least one night here at home. And I am looking forward to maybe a break down the road. I have a couple of weekends coming up that I have some things that I want to do, and I've already talked to him about being available for that time. My birthday weekend. Well, my older daughter's graduation. She's getting her master's, so she'll graduate. And got plans to go to that. So those things are important that I don't miss. So I think I'm striking some balance, making sure. One good thing that's come out of it is that sometimes I don't focus on little projects that I want to get done. So I plan to a couple of things that I can work on at their house.
Yeah.
So, so that's been a good thing.
So, seems to me like you really are trying to make the most of this situation. You know, just having to kind of tweak it the best way that works for the current situation.
Yeah. That's what we have to do. Go day to day and make sure they have what they need. Stepmom had been doing my dad's pills and managing that, but then when she went into the hospital back in December, she hasn't been able to manage his medicines anymore. So I had to take care of that, and for several days I just did day by day the pills in a little Ziploc bag for him. But then I worked it into just a pill planner, a week at a time. And I talked to her about it. Told her that I needed to find. We had bought it earlier. I bought it over a year ago because Daddy said he couldn't do his medicines anymore. He was getting confused. Can't remember if he'd taken them or not. And so he needed a pill planner. So then I went and got him one, fixed his pills up, and he didn't like it. What pill is this? What pill is this? Daddy, I'm sorry. I'll figure out which pills they are. So ended up just putting the pills back in the bottles. And then BJ ended up just taking over doing his pills. But now we have them in the pill planner, and she likes that.
Yeah.
She said, I'm glad you did this because she feels comfortable with the pills being done. And then when I get up and go to work in the morning, she's able to do the pills and just take them out of little containers. Just little things that can help manage.
Hearing maybe a little bit of back and forth. Some days you do feel very appreciated, and there might be some days where there's a little underappreciation.
Sometimes I feel a little taken for granted.
Yeah.
She's a very prideful woman, and I'm learning to deal with the fact that this is hard for her.
Yeah.
She's always been very independent always taking care of herself and very self-sufficient.
Yeah.
And this is very difficult for her too.
Yeah.
So even though I get very frustrated, some days I just want to punch her. I'll just be honest.
I
You know. But I tried to remember that I myself am a very independent woman, and it would be difficult for me to give up.
Carrying a lot of empathy.
I'm trying
A lot
to
of
be.
self-reflection.
Yeah. Trying to remember that one day this will be. And hopefully I will be graceful. I would be a gracious old lady.
So I guess another learning experience you've had is maybe things not to do when I start aging.
Yeah.
Things not to do to my kids.
I prepare my children for this. I have told them to make sure they put me in a place where my chin hairs get clipped.
Oh, well, hopefully they'll get that taken care of.
Sometimes you just need somebody you can talk to. We'll get through it.
Yeah.
I'll survive it.
So I feel like I'm hearing from you that maybe you haven't really had much opportunity to really talk to anybody about this, even though it's something very important to you.
Well, my work day, I'm a nurse practitioner, so I do my work day, take care of you. And
That caregiver syndrome.
caregiver role gets you every time.
Yep.
It's even funny how I become the caregiver for the caregivers at the office. Even. But, anyway, so I leave there and I go straight to my parents' house in the evenings.
Mm-hmm.
And still trying to keep my house running because I have too many furry and feathery friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, but actually, I guess they kind of are my confidants.
Yeah. So it sounds like the comfort of animals is very rewarding and
They're very therapeutic.
Yeah. And very important to you.
That and my plants. I enjoy my plants.
I can tell.
And so I was able to. I decided this past week I had to have a day at home.
Yeah.
And so I got the sitter to stay with my parents on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I could have a day at home. I do a second job. So on Thursdays I do hospice visits for a local hospice. So a lot of my Thursdays when I'm off from my regular job on Wednesday and Thursday, and I have been doing Wednesday with the parents and then Thursday to do that, or at home. But this past week I just knew I was so tired and needed to get some things done, and that what I had to do on Thursday was going to take all day long. Yeah. So I did get the sitter to come an extra day. And there again, my stepbrother said he sat down with his mom and talked about the finances and that they can manage to do the sitter for 5 days a week if I need them to. So, and he's encouraged me to do that. So
it sounds like you have at least one person on the same page as you.
He is.
That's seeing how hard you're working.
For me to have a life. I sort of, well, not sort of, I do feel like that I was brought back to my home area to be here for this.
Yeah.
For this time. And so, when I'm not needed for this anymore, I'll have more time. And I think I should be very well organized to have lots of time on my hands then and have some projects outlined. So, I think overall, now that I sit and think about it and talk about it, really in as good a place as I can be with this situation right now. I'm getting a little bit of downtime for myself and then knowing that I'm doing everything that can be
Yeah.
done for them. So.
It sounds like it's definitely been a very slow process, but you've been slowly but surely working out the kinks. And sometimes finding balance is not something that happens overnight, but it really does sound like you are making the most valiant effort to find it, wherever or whatever that may be.
One way or the other, it'll work out. And then that's extra time for myself.
Yeah.
Get away. Yes.
Trying to avoid worrying about the future and just staying in today.
I think that is how I manage. I mean, there's some things you have to plan for the future. You do have to think about, but you can't just have to take day by day. In a situation like this, Daddy and BJ have always, they were a good team, and they actually did some things at the nursing home. They used to every month take pound cake. Daddy was a good pound cake cooker. And they would take pound cake and ice cream over and serve all the residents at the nursing home. And so,
Well, you just come from a family of caregivers, don't you?
yes, one of my responsibilities with my position as a nurse practitioner, our doctor has patients in the nursing home, and we make rounds. Once a month, we go and make rounds together, and then I'm his scribe for the notes. And the social worker at the nursing home has told me and reminded me that if I need them, she said, you know, your dad has always been a great friend of the nursing home. So if he needs to be there, they are wanting to take good care of him. So I have that. You know, that I know there's options. It's just knowing when's the right time to exercise those options. And I think once the time comes, we'll recognize it. And so Dad is actually on hospice care right now, but he's sort of getting better in one sense. I don't know if he's going to continue to qualify for hospice service. So, but then that's not going to be, I've read about that for a little bit, and then I thought, well, it's not going to be a great loss because we have the sitter that's there. And he's been letting the sitter help him with his bath, and he hasn't been letting the hospice staff do that. So we're not going to lose anything in that respect. The medicines that they provide, we'll just go back to getting them the way we were getting them before. And so I'm glad they've been there. It's been nice. And sometimes when I'm there when the hospice nurse comes, and she and I have talks on. So she's been a good person to talk to on occasion.
Well, you know, I find it interesting that you get kind of worried about resources available to your parents, but it really does sound like you do have a lot of support, whether you realize it.
Yes.
And,
I guess I do.
and we are running out of time. Okay. But I just want to thank you so much for sharing this really special part of your life with me today. And I commend you for coming in and talking about this really difficult topic that I think I agree with you, it doesn't get talked about enough.
It's kind of been an aha for me.
Yeah. And maybe that might be something you can help change in this community. Yeah.
Probably not going to try to do anything right now with it.
Right. But maybe
when my situation resolves.
Yeah.
I can help other people with theirs.
I look forward to working with you in the future if you need me for anything else. Thanks for coming in. You're welcome. And then, so here's where I kind of give like a little bit of a self-critique.
Okay.
And, I mean, if you have any input, I know you're not familiar with motivational interviewing, but...
No, I think you did a very good job.
So, Dr. Cecil, this is my actual mom. And
about a real situation, basically.
Actually, a very real situation.
I'm very impressed with my daughter that she didn't break down and cry with me. So.
Hey, it's gotta get a tough skin.
Very proud of her for that.
But yeah, I use this video to kind of practice my just listening and reflecting, and just kind of letting her lead the conversation. I tried to avoid poking in with like questions. I just wanted to reflect back what you were saying to make sure I understood what you were saying, and just kind of let the emotions come as they may. So, she's not, well, I mean, I'm sure you're a fantastic actor, but that wasn't acting. But, well, what's something I guess you felt like was really beneficial from having someone just literally just reflecting back basically what you were saying?
So somebody just listen.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Very nice. As a provider myself, sometimes I have, that's a very difficult skill.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that even when I'm dealing with my patients at the office. I have to practice that. That was one of the, you have to excuse our cats.
We have a couple of kitties running around that are getting into a fight. So anyway.
But, that was probably one of my first critiques as I was in nurse practitioner school from one of my preceptors was, Renee, you need to be quiet. Just listen. Just listen to the patient. Yeah. They don't really want you to solve their problems.
Yeah. That's another thing that I have definitely tried to, I can tell a difference from when I first started my master's to now is I'm not here to fix the problem. I'm here to identify emotion and understand where it's coming from. And I think using the listening and reflecting is a really good tool for that. So just, just pulling out the emotions that I feel like I'm getting from you or any client. And I've noticed that in my practice, in my internship, initially you just want to get that whole like, I want to fix the problem right away. What is it? Let's fix it now. And now I want to take the time to really get to know the client. And I feel like reflective listening really helps with that. Getting to know what's important to them. And it doesn't really matter if you fix it. I mean, sure, you want to fix it eventually, but this was intended to be like a intake session. And that's the last thing I wanted to do was like, well, this is what you need to do with your parents, And I mean, I guess in a very real way, honestly, Mama just really needed to talk. But I can only imagine if I had a client with your situation, I can only imagine that it really would be just super beneficial for, to hear somebody just let them cry, let them talk about how frustrating it's been.
It's beneficial. And then, heavens, if you have somebody who's not aware of the resources in the area to direct them to that.
Yeah.
Have that ability to do that.
Yeah.
That has been actually a couple of things that have come out of it is we really don't have a good caregiver support.
Yeah, that's. I mean, if we did come up with a solution in this mock therapy session, I guess it would be kind of the realization that this community, this small rural community, doesn't really have that many resources available to this particular issue, and people just aren't really talking about it. When I mean, when they really should be. So,
And I have a friend from church
Yeah.
who contacted me about issues with her parents she's been going through.
yeah,
Having both parents in the nursing home, but having behavior issues because of dementia with
Yeah.
them, and what resources were available for her. And sometimes she just vents to me, and we really need to get together and just sit down and have coffee and
Yeah.
cry, you
Yeah.
know. And we haven't done that.
yeah,
And her mom recently passed away,
yeah,
but her dad's still living. So,
yeah.
just recognizing some needs. That's why we go through things.
Not to toot my own horn, but I think I did a pretty good job reflecting.
I think you do.
I feel like that's a skill that initially I never would have really even realized I didn't have until I was told, hey, you need to do this. This is what you're going to do. And I have a cat in my lap now.
Oh,
Where are you going? So yeah, this is a very real situation. And so we're out.